Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Actually, I should say ciao Calcio lovers, ciao football lovers of the world, because that video is not only directed to Juve people, but to all the fans from around the world that are loving football, but also are experienced in that very particular moment, Calcio Mercato, transfer market. What is transfer market? It's the period between a certain date and another when players can go from one club to another for free, or when a club decides and has the opportunity to buy a player. I told you, and you know it, especially if you follow the channel, that Mercato transfer market is crazy. It is totally crazy. People are happy because they sign the club that they love, are signing the player that they were dreaming of, and other people are super angry because the club is doing nothing, totally nothing, or is signing some players that they do not love. So in that video, I want to go through 11 different points. Why 11? Of course, we are speaking about football, 11 players on the field, 11 points to survive Mercato. Some tips, 11 tips to make your life easier and not becoming crazy like the song Mercato is crazy. To be rational and to have the best experience of Mercato. We start immediately without any waiting with the first point. Patience is key. This is super important. If you are not patient, you will go crazy immediately. We know that officially, and depending on the countries, but let's say the most of the countries, Mercato is open for 62 days, from the 1st of July until the 31st of August, 1st of September, 62 days. But in reality, we know that Mercato never sleeps and is actually open for 212 days. Why 212? From the 1st of February, when the winter transfer market is closed, until the end, we continue to speak every single day about new players. We love to dream about our new players, especially when you have a really difficult season and you can't focus that much on the pitch, but you are dreaming about reinforcement. So Mercato is long. We are speaking about millions, my friends. So negotiations also are taking long. It's true that today we are throwing these kind of numbers, 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, but we are speaking about big investments from the club, especially after COVID. Clubs financially are in trouble and they have to pay attention to it. So the negotiations are taking long. And also an important thing, you have two kinds of different negotiation. The ones that nobody knows about it and are announced like a few days before. We know it, some Mercato experts are also called tap-in merchants. They say nothing, and from the moment it's that close to be signed, they are going with these bold statements telling you. So it looks like actually the negotiation took really long, a short time. On the other hand, you have another part of Mercato. It's when you know about the news really early in the transactions. You know it's super early and you are following step by step everything that is happening. Some people were dreaming about Mbappé to Real Madrid since more than a year and believing, waiting for the announcement that actually never happened. So you have two different stories. Some people, they love to know every single detail. The player called with the agent, the player went already to the city, discovered the city. Some people, they don't want all the story, they just want the news. Giving opinions is important. Of course, you can criticize your club, you can criticize decisions, but try to also keep in mind that you have to wait until the end of Mercato. We know it that some clubs, they love to go all in immediately. Some other ones are waiting for some opportunities and they are waiting end of the Mercato. So you have two things. The important thing is judge at the end. And this was for the first point. We go to the second point. Split the heart from your brain. You know it, in everything in life, when you have to take a decision, you have two big parts that are important. Your heart, your emotion with what you are judging, but also your brains, your reasoning. And it's important to split them. Try to be rational when you are thinking about Mercato. What is possible, what is not possible. And when you are deep diving in analyzing on players, it's important to take everything into consideration. You love a player or you don't love a player, don't focus on just one thing. That means highlights and skills on YouTube, 50 seconds clip on TikTok. Don't focus only on injury, but try to have as much as information to be sure that when you will judge or when you have a feeling about the player, you are able to judge with your heart but also with your brain, combining both of them. So split of them, otherwise you will start to be really frustrated. I know you are asking some players like Anthony and so on, but did you go until everything from Anthony? What is his value? Is he playing really well? Did he already play for a big club? And so on and so on. We go for the third point. Accept that not every wish is possible. It is beautiful to dream and we have to dream, but try to align your expectations with your club. If you are supporting Salernitana or Brest in France or Gijón in Spain, it's really great, but know that having Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, it's impossible. If your expectation in the beginning of the market are Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, it's really difficult, nearly impossible, and you will be really disappointed no matter what player they are buying for you. Asking for Zidane, it is impossible. You know that the dream is to go in national team. Continuing to speak about Zidane, especially for Juve fans that want a change of coach, they want Allegri to be dismissed, it's not happening. Faster you accept it, more you will enjoy the mercato. Your club is asking information doesn't mean done deal. This is the fourth point, and there is a huge difference between when you are reading online or on papers that your club has asked information about the player. Don't start immediately dreaming that the player will be yours, otherwise you will be again really frustrated, angry and disappointed. Clubs are asking information for different players, especially in the beginning of the mercato. That's why you are reading 65, 80 different names linked to your club. Will all of them arrive? Absolutely not. But if you want to build a plan A with a list of players, plan B, plan C, plan D, you need to take as much information possible on the one that you are eventually interested in. So make the difference. When you hear interested, that doesn't mean that your club will buy it. Sometimes it's just asking for asking. We go to the fifth point. Your club is not the only decisive factor. Super important to know that who can play a role. It's 5 different people. Your club, because they need to be interested. The other club is important because they need to want to sell the player or being open to discuss about it. The player himself, because if Milan wants, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo, but Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't want to go to Milan, hey, it already stops. The player agent, super important, because we know that today agents are starting to be more and more important, super decisive. They are also speaking with the player. If the agent doesn't want to, it's also really difficult. And the fifth person or kind of are the entourage of the player, the family, the friends and so on, especially family and players with kids, because you know that moving from one city to another is not always easy, because you have to think about your kids, you have so many consequences linked to it, a new language and so on and so on. Also the quality of life that is taking into the consideration. Some wives, some partners are against going into the city or are pushing for another lifestyle. So it's not always the player that is to blame or your own club. Sometimes it's also the agent, the other club or the family. 6 points. We are arriving to the 11-1. 6 points. Analyze it as a whole. Everything is linked. When your club is starting to go for a player, it's not the only player that they are targeting. It's a plan. Plan A, plan B, C, D. They have a lot of backup plans. If you go for the most expensive one from plan A, for example, you are sure, or maybe depending if you are Paris Saint-Germain, that's a different story, that it's also linked with other players. What are the qualities of the player that will be combined with other players that you already have? Yes or no? Every move is linked. If, for example, you want player A, but player A is not possible, at the end you tried, it is not possible, maybe the plan B, the plan C, the plan D, all these players will change according to your most expensive or your cheapest purchase. So pay attention, never analyze it singularly, but go as a whole. 7th point, limit your sources. Super important if you don't want to be frustrated and burnt out after 10 days of Mercato. Limit your sources. In the past, when I was young, there was only one single paper that you were able to have news from every single day. You were reading it and then you could dream about it or being frustrated, but then you had to wait until the day later to read some updates, if there were some updates. Today, you have papers, you have TV, social media, YouTube, Twitch, you have so many things. Journalists that were in the past only writing online and on paper, today they are also becoming to become stars, like Fabrizio Romano with more than 7-8 million followers on Twitter. They have own YouTube channel where not only they are linking and explaining the news, but they are also talking about the news, giving also some opinions. You have a lot of translation accounts, especially if you are supporting a club that is not in your native language. You are following also the translation. You have more and more from these accounts, and all these kind of things are leading to sometimes frustration and also impatience, because you are reading some news 10-20 different times a day while the news is actually only one, and you start to be impatient. Why is the player not giving an answer? It's not that the player didn't give an answer, it's that it's the same news for all day long. Some are just not reliable, the sources, so try to filter to really have reliable sources. If you are a kind of person that don't like the storytelling, all the building process, so try to limit and go only for the reliable one, and always inform yourself about how they tell a story. That's also super important. So pay attention to who you are following on social media, how much you want to follow, because the more you follow, more you will be brainstorm with information. Also pay attention that they are really translating the news really well. Sometimes they tell you Juventus is on Neymar, while it was just Neymar was offered to Juve. Juve didn't take a decision yet. Point 8, be aware, news are business. That's an important one. Guys, papers, they need to sell. It is a business. Putting in big page a player like Lukaku for Inter for days, they know that they will have a lot of people that will buy it, but it's the same system with online clickbait and all these kind of things. So of course they will take some sentence, they will make it bigger, they will let you dream, because if you dream and if you are interested in your news, you will click and they will earn some money. I'm totally not against it, because world is business, football is business, papers are business, news is business. So pay attention that you are accepting it or absolutely not, and then you have to put yourself aside from it. Point 9, a club spread fake news. That's a really bold one. Yes, they are doing it sometimes, not always, but sometimes, because it's also part of a strategy. So sometimes you will hear that your favorite club is on a player, you will start dreaming about it, you will start to inform yourself, going on Transfer Market, SofaScore, on YouTube, you will try to go and have as much as information as possible, and in the end it was just a fake news. For example, Juventus did it when they went to Bordeaux years ago. They went for Zidane. There were also other recruiters that were also there. They saw Moggi was there for Zidane, but actually he was praising Dugarry, another player from Bordeaux. Milan was hearing that Juventus was on Dugarry. They went, they bought him, while actually Juventus' first target was Zinedine Zidane. The rest is history. Point 10, players rarely leak information on social media. Pay attention to don't go too much in excitement when you see that your player is starting to follow another player from another team, is following a club, is putting a like, or is playing with a Juventus ball like Karim Benzema in the past, or listening to the Barbers, for example. Players, they rarely leak some information, so don't go too excited about it, because they're also signing some confidentiality contract, so it doesn't happen that much. Last point, point 11, some things will never be revealed. what does I mean with things will never be revealed? Sometimes we don't know why a player has been sold, why a player has been bought. Some things are remaining secret and far from us, and it's really difficult for us to understand them. Sometimes it's also the behavior of a player, the intelligence of a player, the way that the agent is discussing with a company, with the club, and all these kind of things that we will never know. So when we are angry about our own club because we didn't buy, because this, because that, Haaland could come to Juventus when he was 16, sometimes we don't know. Some players we are absolutely not aware about, and they never come, and 10 years later you heard that Juventus or your favorite club was on the player. So some things you will never know, and it's difficult to have a complete images if you are missing some important crucial pieces. Guys, this was it for the 11 tips for you to survive Mercato, to have a long one. I repeat you, we didn't even officially start because we are starting on the 1st of July. Let's go through all these points in a recap, go from it, read them, and try to enjoy, because at the end, guys, we are here to dream. Mercato is fun, can be frustrated, of course, but it has to be experienced as fun. Go through it with a smile, and the most important rule, know that everything that is true and correct today can change tomorrow. A player can wake up and change his mind. These kind of things happens. It is what it is. The most important thing, what I always said, is at the end, Mercato is fun and it's nice, but at the end, it's on the field what matters. The 11, 25 players on the field when they are playing against each other and they try to go and win trophies. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, grazie, forza, Mercato.